starting.
Hey,
Come on, Nathan. Here we are for a little more Backstage BS. And we're just looking at the golf up there and talking about it,
Mitsubishi Championship.
Yeah. You know, the we were talking about last week was the Wailea course, which famously has the W in the palm trees. Do you know where that was in a movie?
What movie was it?
Old movie. Mad World, which
wow.
was made back in the 60s. And it literally, I want to say maybe 65 or maybe even a little earlier. And it was one of the first movies I ever saw as a kid.
Yeah.
My parents took us to see Gone with the Wind first, and then I think a Disney movie, and then Mad World.
The triple feature.
Yes. And Mad World had literally every comedian of any note during that time was in that movie.
So who would that be? Like Peter
the
Sellers?
Three Stooges,
wow.
Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, I don't know if the Marx Brothers were in there. I mean, guys like Red Buttons and, you know what I mean? Like Buddy Hackett. I mean, you know, that whole thing.
Had me at the Stooges.
And it was literally, and the whole thing is they're looking for this buried treasure, and it's buried under the big W. And the big W is the palm trees at the Wailea golf course.
I was going to say Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but not as classic.
Not as much so.
No.
Yeah. You know, this first time I've seen your show, and Nathan, he never changes. But
well, tell me that on Sunday after two more shows.
Of course he does.
I do a different 45, 60 every time.
You know, when you were doing your piece about young marriage and telling young people about living together and all that kind of stuff, you know, I love that. It resonates with me because my daughter, who is now 31, but you know, I went through that with her in that it was that thing of, she asked me one time, she goes, how come all guys are really nice at first and then they always, about the same amount of time, turn into complete assholes? And I go, because they were assholes at the very beginning.
It's called sales.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I said, you know what I don't get about your generation is you all have to be boyfriend, girlfriend. You all have to have that person, you know, rather than just dating. Just date. And she was like, oh, so you want me to be a slut? You want me to be a whore? I go, that's not being a whore. That's not being a slut.
I didn't think I'd have sex
with
why
don't you try dating people and getting to know them for a little while rather than, oh, you know, they were great for a week and sex was good and now you're my boyfriend.
So back in the 50s when people would date, were they sleeping together when they were dating? Like, could you be sleeping with multiple people at the same time? At the sock hop?
Right.
I mean, like, was that a thing?
Well, the thing about it is the way it was depicted, no. But when you actually talk to people from that era, yeah. Yeah, they were.
Nobody talked about it.
Well, that's
called
right.
Parking.
That's right. That was the thing. You didn't out anybody. Well, the guys would say it around the guys. I guess the girls would say it around a certain amount of the girls. You had the type of girls that were the fun girls, and then you had the marrying girl. And the marrying girl needed to be virtuous.
Or appear virtuous.
Yes.
That's a branding issue.
Yes. Because I don't know, but that was the way that was.
I do remember, you know, having, you know, you could even have a girlfriend and sort of like, it wasn't quite as strict in terms of, I don't know, there was leeway in that term 40 years ago.
Of girlfriend?
Yeah, I think so. And it went both ways. I mean, you know, like she might hook up with some other guy sometime. I might hook up with some other girl sometime. And as long as you didn't embarrass the other person or something, it was like, but you know, you still had like, I don't know.
Well, the question.
Maybe I was a whore. Maybe I didn't know.
Well, you are a whore. We're all whore.
Of course.
Well, but the thing is, here's the question: is did you start dating someone and you really like them, and then you're kind of like, okay, we're a thing now. Now, even knowing that, you know, hey, we're not married, not engaged. You know, I might see somebody. But did you talk about it up front? Did you say, If you want to, go ahead. If I want to, go ahead. We'll be together.
No, it was sort of more of a
lying.
It worked it out.
Yeah.
And then there's always this sort of like I don't know, when you have a girlfriend, you go to college. You have a high school girlfriend, you go to college. You go to different colleges. They're going to go on dates where they go to college. You're going to go on dates where you go to college, and it's like you sort of don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, see, that was the things like when and I don't know what was I mean.
Well, I grew up in the trailers of Florida, so we dated from 14 to 16, got married at 17.
Did you get married at 17?
No, we didn't. But I met my wife at 17. But I from 14 to 16, that's when we did all of our fooling around and all this stuff. I mean, and then by the time I was 17, I was like, I've fooled around with enough girls.
At 17?
That's nice.
Wow. And I met my wife.
I hadn't even fooled around with any girls.
Well, yeah, I mean,
until I was 18.
Well, I tell you
almost
what,
18.
You should have been raised up in Suncoast.
I know. Florida was different.
Florida's different, dude.
Well,
I know when I was listening to you guys, I was like, college.
I know. Well, it was like when I never had a just you're it girlfriend.
Yeah.
I had one time for 4 months, and that was the first girl I ever fell in love with. I was just madly head over heels in love with. I was 19, she was 18, and that lasted about 4 months, and then but other than that, I just thought it was bullshit. I was like, I always thought, you're acting like you're married. And that's what's in your show. Mm-hmm. You're acting like you're married, but you're not married. There's no commitment here. You know what I mean? And when Pam and I met, my wife and I, who've been together for 40 years.
Wow.
But when we met, after about 2 months, she said to me, you can move in with me. And I go, that ain't going to happen. And she was shocked. You know what I mean?
Like, oh, you're moving in.
I mean, I'm 6 years older than her. And so she was literally kind of shocked and like, well, really? And I go, no. I said, and here's the deal. I go, it's like if we're living together, and most of the time when people live together, it's out of financial reasons.
Yeah.
If we're living together and we have a time when things get stressful, we have a fight, whatever, we're in this same space. Mm-hmm. Right now, if we need some time apart, we go to our corners, just like fighters. You go to your corner, I go to my corner. Chill.
Don't move to New York.
Correct. That's right, because you need...
Your corners are the same.
You got to live together.
So that's like this. We're in our corners.
I know. I just couldn't do it. And I told her, too, which I think shocked her. I said, look, until an engagement ring flips on your finger, that means I'm not your guy, and you're not my girl. That's in your head. So
you told Pam this?
Absolutely. And I said, until that happens, if you meet somebody that you think is attractive and interesting, you should be able to pursue that.
Oh.
Same with me. You should be able to.
How'd that play?
Go ahead.
Yeah, how'd that go? Pam's strong.
Well,
lady,
the first thing she kind of, and like all people, they kind of think that, oh, you're saying that because you want to play around. I go, no, I'm saying that because it's the reality of the situation that we're really in. Okay, you and I are seeing each other. I love it. You're going to see I'm going to be spending a lot of time with you because you're really pretty and you're really fun and you're really special.
Yeah.
You're going to see there's probably not a lot of time I'm not going to be with you. But I'm telling you, if you see somebody that's interesting, you should be able to do it. I should be able to do the same thing. If I walk into a bar here in town and you're sitting at the bar with another guy, I'm going to politely turn around and leave. I don't want to meet this motherfucker. I don't want to know anything about him. I don't want to know anything about him. But on the other hand, you should have that capability to do that. And I think that's, but most people are so insecure that they don't even want to even go there, in a relationship.
I didn't, my wife and I moved in together right after we got engaged. Mm-hmm. And, we were spending almost every night together before that. Mm-hmm. But when we got engaged, it's like, okay, now, because to me, getting engaged was the commitment.
Well, that's what
I wasn't going to get engaged unless I was going to follow through.
Right.
I wasn't just going to get her engaged to shut her up for a year.
Right.
Like this is like when I make the decision, it's going to be one time forever. And so then we moved in, and I'm glad. I mean, I think that time together, I'm not sort of on mixed feelings on this, because I've known people who have lived together, and by living together learned they didn't want to get married, and that's a very valuable thing to learn.
Yes, and valuable, literally wealth valuable.
Yeah, well, I mean, just on so many levels.
Yes,
but for sure, I mean, if you avoid a lot of complications, and
my wife,
it's a whole lot better to never get married than to get divorced.
Correct.
Anyway,
we were together for 5 years, lived together for 3 before I asked her to marry me.
Okay.
And my grandma came and set me down. She's like, "Why have you not asked that woman to marry you yet?" I was like, "I don't have any money for a ring." She goes, "Here's money. Go get a ring."
Oh my God.
And that was that.
Well,
that solves that problem. That takes away that excuse.
It was such a good
Pam
excuse.
and I did the same thing as you. We'd known each other. We'd been on and off for 3 years, and at one point we were off for 9 months. We were done, and then got back together. But it was the thing, when we got engaged and decided we want to get married, we spent a year, and we decided let's give it a year to see if we really.
After you got engaged?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
1 exact year, and I said, we are going to live together as if we're married. Combined bank accounts, everything. We're going to pay our bills together. We are going to do everything as if we're married.
Which is turned into a thing in the past, by the way.
What's that?
Couples don't really share bank accounts as much anymore. They get together and they
that
keep
is the
separate
weirdest
stuff.
fucking thing.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
It is
I love
weird,
I've got friends that have been married as long as me, and they're like, she has her money, I have my money. I go, well, if y'all get divorced, see what the judge have to say about your money and her money. Unless you've signed a prenup, which you haven't. Your money, half of it is her money, and that's the way it fucking goes.
It's funny you said you spent a year. We got engaged. I was 38 when we got engaged, and when you're younger, especially in the South, people get engaged and they're engaged for a year and a half, and they have all these big parties and they take trips together, and then they blah blah blah, and they have 14 bridesmaids and groomsmen and all that shit. We got engaged. And I was older, and I saw my wife go into wedding planning mode. And I always think, she was like, when should we get married? I was like, a year from now, fine. After 4 days of that, I'm like, we can get this done in 4.5 months. And so we did. Well, not 4.5. It was 6. So we got engaged, and I was like, let's get it done before the holidays. And we did. And you can plan a wedding that quickly if you want to.
Oh, absolutely. We did the year. We did the year, which was a year at Christmas.
Yeah.
So at Christmas Eve, I gave her the ring, which was a diamond that she had inherited from an aunt or something that she gave me and said, go have it put in a ring.
Right. That looks like this.
And the guy who was the jeweler who was doing it, he got the eye thing out and was looking at it. He goes, look at this. It has what they call an occlusion, it's like a dark place in it. He goes, it looks like the Playboy bunny symbol. And it did. So anyway, but we got engaged, and then we were at that time in Chattanooga running the Comedy Catch.
Yep.
And Michael Alfano had just taken it over, and they had asked us to stay on to kind of help them in transition. And so we had already decided that we were going to do that, and then leave and come down here. But it was very calculated, and we did our wedding 6 months after that. We wanted to get married on Christmas in July, but we couldn't because it was a Saturday night. You can't take off on a Saturday night. You're a fucking entertainer.
Yeah.
So we had to do it on Sunday, the 26th. But I tell people, I literally I did not know growing up in the South where I grew up, all weddings were at a church. And after the wedding, the reception was in a fellowship hall with cake and punch, and
mints.
Mints, and if anything else was there, is cause Aunt Margaret brought it or whatever. And when I found out people had sit down dinners, $200 a person, whatever, these $20,000, $50,000 fucking weddings, When I'm finding out people are doing that aren't like rich.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that's the fucking stupidest fucking thing. I go, why don't you just give the married couple $30,000 to start their life, to put a down payment on their house?
Yes, but okay. So we're now at the next generation getting married. So we had 3 weddings of my nephews and nieces in the last year and change, and it's the only time we all get together. You know, that those life events. And, you know, would we have come if it was a church hall in the school cafeteria afterwards? I know exactly the vibe you're talking about, by the way, with that church hall reception. Would people have come to town for that kind of a party? Maybe, maybe not, you know?
Well, I'm going to tell you, when we had our wedding, Pam and I had our wedding, we did the wedding, her dress, the reception, and went on a honeymoon to 3 days in Epcot, 3 days in the Virgin Islands, and 3 days in Key West.
There you go.
For $5,000. And people are like, no fucking way. Yeah, fucking way we did.
Yeah.
And now there's 1988, but we did all of that for that. And the wedding was a fucking blast.
Yeah.
We had the reception at the comedy club.
At the Catch?
At the comedy catch.
That's funny.
In the middle of we got married in the afternoon at a church near there. Pam and I got a horse-drawn carriage. That was our big deal. We had police escorts because we knew all the cops. We had our little reception, and people bought drinks. And my sisters and my aunts and everybody made all the food and brought it to the thing. And afterwards, it was a Sunday night. The Holiday Inn, which is where the comedy catch is now at the Choo Choo, the train terminal, right? I went down there, and they had a lounge. And I saw the manager. I go, anybody in here on a Sunday night? He goes, no. I said, you want me to bring 100 people? Maybe 50 to 100 people? He goes, that'd be fucking great. I said, well, I'm going to tell everybody to come down here.
That's
and we'll
where the
party.
after party was?
Yeah. And he goes, well, I'll do happy hour prices. I go, fucking cool. You know? And me and Pam got a hotel room there. And so my point is, we had all our friends came in. Family was there. We had a fucking blast. And I go, and nobody had to spend a shitload of fucking money. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have the money, fucking great. But there's people going to debt for those fucking
You're right.
things.
When we got married, my family didn't have money. Her family didn't have no money. So we maxed out all of our credit cards at 23 years old.
Oof.
Yeah, it was like $11,000 or something like that, which was a lot to us at the time.
Yes.
And our honeymoon was which is funny, is we rented a Cadillac and was like, let's drive as far as we can drive. We had like a week and a half to drive, and we ended up stopping in Chattanooga and never left. Stayed the entire time. Rock City, and had a nice hotel there.
Ruby Falls.
Ruby. We did Ruby Falls, Rock City, the aquarium. That's why I was like, the aquarium's pretty cool. You know, I kind of went there on my honeymoon.
I think the big thing is, I tell anybody, is I go, hey, man, if your parents are loaded and they can do all that, fucking have a ball. Fucking spend $100,000. Who gives a fuck? But don't go into debt.
Yeah, I wish we wouldn't have.
When you're first getting married, you're already under pressure.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
the wrong
realize.
way to go.
it.
Yeah,
and it
for
was
sure.
like probably, they were our first credit cards. It was probably 29% interest.
Oh
or
God,
something.
yeah.
It took us well into like the at least 15 years to pay it off.
Now, is this your first marriage?
Yeah.
First and
only
only,
been
right?
married, yeah. That
Yeah.
joke about couples therapy is based on a real experience.
Okay. You did that before you got married.
Yeah, that was with a different girl who I loved and was wonderful and beautiful and all, and on paper was right, but we just weren't right together. And it was hard, but we broke up and I met my wife a few years later. I just think, like, dude, dating, it shouldn't be that hard.
No.
No. If dating, and that's the whole point. If dating is hard, you got to run.
That's exactly right.
I see my friends doing it. It looks hard, dude.
Bro, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that hard. That doesn't mean that you necessarily know. I absolutely want to meet this person. But if 50% of the days you wake up and go, I don't know what's going to happen today, fucking get out.
Exactly. You know, with Pam and I, we never, you know, we dated for a year and a half, and then I started to tour. She got her master's degree, went to New York to be an actress. Well, that was the beginning of the end. You know, you're not together, and you ain't going to be together unless I want to move to New York, which would have been stupid because she had that dream her whole life. She's 7 years younger than me, and for me to go up there and at that point of her life, she's going up there to experience every dream she'd ever had in her head, which isn't me. Right. You know, I mean, I'm 1,000% sure it's not me. You know, even though she thought I was great for that time period.
Yeah.
And the best thing I ever did was leave her alone and then let it go. And then when we got back together, she'd already had that time.
Yeah.
And realized, well, dated a bunch of guys up here, this, that, and the other. Les was the guy. He was. You know, I mean, it gave you that time.
Yeah.
And like you said, we always had fun. But when we lived together that year, about 2 months into it, we started to have arguments for the very first time. And I felt like it was that thing of when somebody really knows you well and knows your hot buttons and they're pushing them on purpose, you know, and at a point after it happened, 4 or 5 times, it wasn't a lot, 4 or 5 times for me. I said, after we had a big fight, and I go, we're going to calm down and we're going to have a serious talk about this shit.
Yeah.
And we sat down the next day, and I just told her, I said, I'm not a violent, angry person. I said, but you really bring it out in me. I said, you really do. I said, there are times when I want to hit you, and I don't want to hit anybody, but I want to hit you sometimes, what you do. And if that is something that you need in a relationship, if that's something, I don't know, I'm not your guy. I know that for sure. I'm 100% sure I am not your guy. And she did some evaluating. She thought about it. She came back to me and she goes, what I realized is the last several guys I've dated, that's been what our rotation is in the relationship. It's great, and then it gets boring because it starts just kind of flatlining.
Yeah.
And then you need some drama.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
That was my point.
You
do not need the drama.
Drama is optional. Drama is optional. And you don't have to sign up for it, and that's the thing.
Boring is good.
And the thing is, though, boring is. The sex isn't going to be crazy hanging by your ankles.
And it wasn't boring.
For
it
20
just
years.
wasn't.
But it's not fighting it.
You get into a groove,
Well,
which is
when you
cool.
live in together,
a groove is good.
You become roommates, you know, because you're not just lovers who can walk away and leave, and you become roommates, and you have to learn how to live together. And the whole dishwasher bit is all about just the stupid shit about you see the world one way, and her parents taught her how to do something one way, your parents taught you how to do it another way, and you believe that's right, and you've never even considered an alternative until you are with the person that you have sex with.
Well, you know, and when you say you become roommates, my thing on is you become friends. That's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to establish the strongest friendship of your life. That's what that is.
Yeah, but friends with a woman is, I don't care if you're married to, it's different than your friends with a guy. Like, because, you know, my wife always, and Brian Regan has an incredible bit about this. He talks about how he can play golf with his divorced friend and be there, you know, be together for 6.5 hours. And then he'll come home and his wife will ask, well, how's he going? Is he dating anybody? Blah, blah. And he's like, I have no idea. We didn't talk about that.
Right.
And it's the same thing with my wife and my best friend. We'll go play golf and hang out, and we'll talk. What'd you talk about? Golf?
Well,
we didn't talk about his feelings.
I know, but Pam is my closest friend, but here's the difference in my guy friends that I highlight to her. One, when I am driving,
they don't own half your shit.
Well, here's the big thing. When I am in a car with some dudes that are friends of mine, and I make a wrong turn, Nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
Nobody gives
Nobody
a fuck.
brings up your
We ain't
nobody brings up
gonna-
your mother.
We ain't gonna die. We're not gonna. Oh my God, what have you done? I said nobody gives a shit, you know. And I said, and the other thing that Pam does, I have to remind her to this day. We've been together 40 years. When I drive, that I go, believe it or not, I drive by myself, and I've done it all over the country, and I have ended up where I needed to be every fucking time. And I know you can't believe that I can actually do that, but I can. But other than that, but the thing is, you're a friend with benefits.
You know, I will say, like, my wife and I, just because we've been together a long time, like 25 years, and when COVID hit, you know, we've always been workers. I work late days, she works late days. When COVID hit, she came home to work, I came home to work, and now we're just together all day, every day, and now we still work together. I will say she's definitely my best friend. I didn't know we could make it through that, but we know each other so well. We rock out to the same music, you know. We just have good times. It's actually pretty awesome every day. I think that she has become my best friend. I still have friends that are dudes that I do like hanging out with them, you know, doing the regular dude stuff. But she's definitely, I mean, you know, hopefully she watches this.
No, I feel the same way. And the thing about it is, one of the things that's really helped Pam and I, and we talk about is all the way through our marriage, is we have been super selfish about what we call boyfriend-girlfriend time. And that is, we have always carved out, whether it's one day a week, whether it's here or there, and we know when we need it. We know when we need it, where we go, we need to be not husband and wife, not mom and dad, not business owners, not any of that. We need just to be lovers, just romantic that. And
that word makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I was like,
lovers,
yeah.
the lover thing.
Yeah, you can just say, like, we're dudes, so you can say, like, tap that, hit that.
There was a comic from the 80s who would say, somebody had a bit.
Once a week, I need to hit that.
I gotta pound that mound, baby. I gotta smoke that muffin.
That's right.
There is a comic from the 80s who had a bit who said, he goes, this is my lover, Sue. Or it's like, why don't you just get down on the floor and do it right here? Like, you know.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
Wait, you see us both tits up on the couch? Like,
lover?
Wait.
Lovers?
Pussy. No, I'm just messing with you.
Oh, no. My thing always is when the kind of shit that I do, you know, is that I am the gayest man that loves pussy. I am just happen to be. I'm a gay man who just totally loves pussy. I mean, I can arrange flowers like nobody's fucking business. I mean, I'm awesome at it. I'm great at it. I can iron like a motherfucker. I mean,
you do always look very crisp, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Pam
Pam will say, she goes, that son of a bitch, he could have been a dry cleaner. He could have done it. Put him in a garden. He is landscaping. I'm telling you, there's some Asian in that fella.
That's
you know?
funny. That's funny.
And your Asian thing. That was funny.
That's funny.
That you found out that your wife was Asian.
That's a true story. That's absolutely true.
I love that.
I know my type.
You know, and so my wife, you look at her and you're like, well, you're not white. Like, there's something else going on here.
Right.
And so, and when we got married, we're talking about, I haven't done this bit in a while, or this part of it, where I assume my kids were 50% Latino. And so I'm thinking, you know, college scholarship and all this, and I'm like, I find out they're Asian. It's like, no way they're getting into Harvard, you know. And it's like, I shouldn't have done it. I should have, you know, we could, because on their birth certificates we put mixed race, and because we didn't know what
which
they
is
were.
true.
It is true.
Yeah. Yes.
We didn't know which races, and then anyway, so it just kind of calls into question like the whole identity thing is we don't even know who the hell we are.
Right.
You know, and you've heard 100 different stories of people on 23andMe like, my dad always said we were French. It turns out we're German or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
exactly
it's all
right.
the same goddamn tribes, you know, 1,000 years ago.
Oh, right.
So I don't know. Anyway, it's but we did that. My wife wasn't all that into. She was like, I don't even care. you know, and
Right.
then she found out. I think she liked the idea of being Latino more than South Asian. So what I'm saying is, my wife is racist.
Yeah.
Have you done your 23?
Yes, I'm Caucasian. It's all Irish and English. It's,
Okay.
And my last name is Ollinger. The family lore is that we're German, but it's literally like 90% English and Irish.
Right. I'm getting ready to do mine, and it should come out the same way. It should be. My mother was Scottish and they have the tartan and everything.
Yeah.
And Dad was Irish, and so that's what it should come out.
Well, that's what you've been told, and
That's right.
And
But
that's
you
the
go,
thing.
but
you don't know.
somewhere in there, somebody could have had sex with somebody that.
Yeah,
Nobody
and
knows.
everybody's like partially Mongolian because of what's his name, Genghis Khan. Just
When you found out she was Asian, you just went in there and you pulled out the kimono you've been just waiting to give her.
No, we pulled out the cheerleading out. Yeah, cheerleading out.
Here you go, honey. That's a good one.
And the Hello Kitty back.
Yeah. That's what my wife makes me wear.
I love when you said that, because it's that little thing. I love little things like that where the audience, as you know, they're laughing, and then you say Hello Kitty backpack, and they're like, uh-oh. He's a pedophile. Should we be laughing at this shit? Holy fuck. He just said Hello Kitty.
well, it's kind of more like that, like
I know.
Asian skateboarder
Yeah,
girl.
Oh, yeah,
vibe,
absolutely.
It's
It's the, what is it, anime
Exactly.
stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
So you guys did. I've never done the 23andMe. I feel it's just weird.
I
don't know.
just ordered it for Christmas, and actually it had a BOGO. So I've got two of them. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with the other
What'd you
one.
say about your BOGO on Costco? That's so funny.
fucking true.
That's hilarious.
You know what you should really do is spit in both of them, send them both out, and see if it comes back the same.
Yeah, under two different names.
Yeah.
We did our kids as well, and fortunately, it came back as exactly half of each of our profiles.
Right.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So
Yeah,
we
how
didn't
many
have to have a difficult conversation.
How many people are finding out their dad wasn't
all
their dad,
kinds
and
of
their
shit,
mom
all
wasn't their
kinds of
mom?
stuff,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And long lost siblings.
Some
and
crazy
Yeah.
shit.
and that's the thing. Like, I'm not interested in finding out who her birth sisters and cousins are. It's like I got enough in-laws.
That's the
Oh,
that's
right,
a big
right,
thing
right,
with me.
right.
I found out in 7th grade they were teaching us about eye color, and my science teacher goes, 2 blue-eyed people cannot have a brown-eyed baby. And I was like, well, my parents have blue eyes. And she was like, you need to speak to your parents. That's how we found out back in the day. We didn't have 23andMe. We had science teachers.
You never know, because I've seen before where the dominant gene didn't work.
Yeah.
A dark complected person like yourself with a redhead, and they had a redheaded kid, and that ain't supposed to happen. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
My son has blue eyes. Came out with blue eyes. And at first, because of the trauma I had from the science thing, I was like, this kid is not my kid.
Is he white?
Yeah, he's white. He looks just like, he's black with blue eyes. He's special.
Oh, that is special. There's nothing more. That's very attractive, too.
No, he's definitely
It's
my
a good
kid.
look.
He's
Less
got
we
a
know,
good
he's
look.
mostly gay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, man, when it comes to shades and colors, I'm
just
all
so
over
good
it.
at it.
All over it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I might
Is
do
this
it.
the original McCurdy's location?
No.
How
No.
long have you been here?
We've been here for 11 years.
Okay.
Or getting close to 11.
Where was the first one?
First one was in a Holiday Inn Airport Marina banquet room.
Oh, no shit.
And we took the door money, and they staffed it and took the liquor. We were there for 10 years. I didn't want to run I didn't want a comedy club. I wanted a side income.
Right, yeah.
I wanted a little weekend room, side income. When we got married, I said, I will not take more than 2 gigs a month. That means I will never be away from home for about more than 10 days. I said that we both felt comfortable with that in the relationship, because I saw how
It ruins it.
It's hard. It's hard. And there's some relationships that have done it. Foxworthy's done it. Larry Cable Guy's done it. I know a few who have kept long marriages. Bobby Collins has done it, but they're rare. They're rare. And then Pam, would have some kind of day job, and that's how we thought we'd live our life. And then,
I'm at the point in my career, my wife was like, you got a road gig? Awesome.
good.
See ya.
But every year, And when we came to Sarasota, I mean, it's tripled in size since we first came here.
Yeah.
And we knew it was going to. I mean, there was no doubt in our mind that
why did it grow so fast? Just because people were
the
aging?
interstate came through.
Oh, okay.
The interstate stopped in
beautiful,
Tampa till 1986, I
No
think.
kidding.
And so once the interstate came in, people discovered Sarasota down to Naples.
Yep. Right.
And we knew this, and we knew Sarasota. It's kind of like Sarasota and Naples were the but Naples is very uber wealthy and a little more country club buttoned up. Sarasota and Bradenton are a little more. Sarasota's the wealthier community, and Bradenton's a little more down home.
And for some reason, Sarasota and Naples in the Gulf, they just have nicer beaches. I don't know what it is.
Without a
The beaches are
doubt,
amazing.
it's an incredible place. What tropical city of any size in the world has the amenities that we do? Zero.
Yeah.
There is no tropical city that stays warm all year round, that has professional sports teams, that has major concert venues, has all the theater, all the music, everything you want, in that area. It's us and Miami, and Miami's its own totally different thing. And so we knew that, and every year it just kept getting a little better and a little better. So by the third year open, Pam didn't have to work a day job. She could just pay attention to the club. And, so that was like 1991. By 1994, we had our daughter, and I go, I'm not going to be on the road anymore. I want to hang out with my kid first 10 years. And so, and then that ended in 98, and then we had to get our own club.
Yeah.
And we got it one, and then we moved here 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
cool. Yeah, that's a good story. Yeah, Sarasota blew up, and now Sarasota is so big now that they need to make a Sarasota bypass on 75, where we can just go past you because it's insanity, dude.
It adds
30 minutes to my trip just coming down 75.
Yeah. But we were talking about we never thought it would be as successful as it is. I mean,
is this a typical weekend?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a draw. I don't pretend I'm a draw.
Just pretty.
These people just show up because they know you're going to put on a good show.
Yep. Yeah,
it's
pretty
always
typical.
a good show here.
That's amazing.
And it's I mean, it just is better than we ever imagined. And Pam and I've talked about, to be in this community this many years and be the face of laughter. And of course, when you're here this many years, I'm like the fucking weatherman. As a matter of fact, I kid the weatherman. I'm more popular than he is. Yeah. But the thing is, when you're that well known, but you're not just well known, you're well known for comedy, for joy. Yeah. So when people see you, the first thing they do is smile and start to giggle a little bit, because that's the memory that comes to them. And I go, what an amazing way to go through your life. It's incredible. We all do it. We just do it in this, this boundary area, and
well, now it's become McCurdy's has become iconic space, in comedy. I mean, people love it. They know it. They know that what's great for comedians, they come here, they know they're going to have a good show. They got the people are going to be there. It's up to you.
The crowds
are
wonderful.
Yeah,
we've trained them over the years. They've seen everybody.
Clubs don't do that anymore. Very, very few. Like they don't have the same thing, like, trust us, we'll curate the right comic for you.
That's right.
There's other agendas that they're trying to serve.
Well, they don't police the room anywhere you go anymore.
Well, policing the room and knowing your audience, And that was one of the things, like when we were out in Chattanooga. Chattanooga is the kind of city that the kind of person that lives in Chattanooga grew up in Chattanooga for the most part. They are a city that you book a certain kind of comedian there that works there, and it's kind of same, kind of. Yeah. Here, I got people from all over the country, so I can book a great variety of different kinds of comedians. Yeah. But I'm telling you, my 70% of our crowds are 55 to 85.
Yeah.
They watch a comedy show for the most part like they're watching a theater event.
Yeah.
They're sophisticated to it. They're very smart. They're not prudes, and they just make for a wonderful audience,
It really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
So we're very lucky, but planned. We're planned. We thought this through, and it just worked out better than we thought it. We were just like, we wanted to retire here. We knew we wanted to retire here.
Yeah.
So the thought was after we got married, let's go where we want to retire and see if we can just be there forever.
Yeah.
You know? And it worked
place
out.
for it.
Yeah.
It's funny when you get that.
Hey, that's
age.
me.
Hey,
Well,
you're on.
means I'm
Man.
getting ready to go on. Hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Y'all can keep talking if you want to.
I gotta pee.
Yeah, all right, we're good. Yeah, so all right, do the outro music.
Kill.